His reaction was, this is great. Hopefully, if I get an acquittal, they'll find the people who did kill Maggie and Paul, because they certainly haven't tried before now.
Alex Murdaugh's lawyer telling all about his client getting a new trial.
Can't let the second most important court official in that courtroom try to influence the jury, because she is writing a book and wants to sell more books.
Plus, what is Alex Murdaugh doing behind bars? And does he see his son Buster? I'm Angenette Levy, and this is a special edition of Crime Fix coming to you from the State House grounds in Columbia, South Carolina. Dick Harpootlian has represented Alex Murdaugh since 2021, and he said he's not going anywhere. He will be representing Alex Murdaugh in a second trial, and so will his entire team. He says he is getting the band back together. Those are his words. You'll recall that Alex Murdaugh was swiftly convicted after a 6-week trial and 3 hours of deliberation in 2023. He was convicted of the heinous murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul at the family's Moselle hunting estate in June of 2021. Alex Murdaugh admitted he stole millions from clients, but maintained he was no murderer.
On June 7th, 2021, did you take this gun or any gun like it and shoot your son Paul in the chest in the feed room at your property off Moselle Road?
No, I did not.
Mr. Murdaugh, did you take this gun or any gun like it and blow your son's brains out on June 7th or any day or any time?
No, I did not.
Murdaugh appealed, claiming Clerk of Court Becky Hill tried to influence the jury so they'd vote to convict. Why? Because she wanted to write a book. And Murdaugh's team presented a witness who said Hill believed a guilty verdict would sell more books. Alex Murdaugh's first attempt to win a new trial failed in 2024, but now South Carolina's highest court has ruled unanimously that Alex Murdaugh's rights were violated by Becky Hill when she told jurors not to believe Murdaugh or the defense. The court also found too much information about Murdaugh's financial crimes was allowed into evidence to show motive for the murders. So Murdaugh, despite serving a 27-year sentence for those financial crimes, is getting a second trial for the murders of Maggie and Paul. The case goes back to square one. The Attorney General has vowed to retry Alex Murdaugh quickly.
I'm here with Dick Harpootlian, one of Alex Murdaugh's defense attorneys, and actually I spoke with him right as that opinion came out, although it was very brief. So, Dick, thank you so much for talking with me. I know you've had a long day. I called you and you said, I can't talk right now. I'm on the phone with Alex. And, I'm sure you had a lot of calls, but what was it like talking with Alex Murdaugh to tell him the news that he had won a new trial?
Well, I think you got to have context on that. Alex clearly has thought from the beginning this case would never be reversed. He was very pessimistic about it. He said, I have never had any judge rule in my way on anything. And so when we argued the case in front of the Supreme Court, and Jim and I got on the phone with him, and he said, how'd it go? He said, God, great. I mean, the justices asked us the right questions, and more importantly, asked the Creighton Waters and the prosecution team questions they had no answers for. So we felt really, really good about our chances. And so the opinion came, and we called him, and he said, I've heard that it got reversed. And he didn't, he told us when we told you, well, he said, I don't believe it. They're not going to believe it. So when the opinion came in, and we talked to him yesterday, he said, I've read the opinion. I hear what you say. I still don't believe it. I said, what do you mean? He said, there's something going on. He said, I can't put my finger on it, but I've been so pessimistic about this. I've never gotten the ruling my way. It's just hard for me to believe that they're going to rule our way. I said, well, rule of law is alive and well in South Carolina. These justices looked at it and said, you can't let the second most important court official in that courtroom try to influence the jury because she is writing a book and wants to sell more books. And that she clearly said that to several people. And the judge, the justices talked about the financial testimony about the financial crimes and have indicated that that shouldn't happen again in a retrial. That to that degree, or maybe at all, they urge the judge to look at it very carefully under the strict standards of the admission of what we call 404 crime to prove motives. So we talked to him about the case. We went through page by page. We talked about the issues. And he said, I still don't believe it. I mean, he just believes that because of the notoriety, because of the common belief that he's guilty, that he wasn't going to get another trial. And of course, I explained to him, these justices, under the law, you're entitled to a new trial, whether you're a serial killer, or child molester, or whatever, the worst of the worst. The law demands you get, the Constitution demands that you get a new trial. And again, I'm proud of our Supreme Court because the rule of law prevailed unanimously.
So did he ever obviously come around to realizing, yes, he said he read it, but he didn't believe it. Did the shock wear off?
It did. He's trying to figure out, what does this mean? Now, you understand, he got his sentence on the financial crimes is enough to where he may never get out of prison. And if he does, he'll be very old. So this isn't about getting out. It was never about him getting out of jail. But he has insisted he didn't kill Maggie and Paul. He wants whoever did caught. And he believes they're not going to focus on even looking at those people until he's acquitted.
Have you talked to Alec since Wednesday?
We talked to him twice yesterday. We flew up to New York to do, this has been a whirlwind tour for us over the last 24 hours. Tim and I flew up. We talked to him yesterday morning briefly, and then yesterday afternoon when we got to New York. We're planning hopefully to go out and see him next week.
But after the shock wore off, what was his reaction, that you can share that's not privileged?
Well, his reaction was, this is great. Hopefully, if I get an acquittal, they'll find the people who did kill Maggie and Paul, because they certainly haven't tried before now.
And what does he spend his days doing? I mean, he's just hanging out in prison, talking to other inmates. I mean, is he still in segregation?
He's got a job. Well, no, he's got a job. He's in protective custody. He's in an institution where they have a PC unit, and he's there and doing well and has a job. He does answer a lot of questions from other inmates about legal issues. He was a lawyer. He's well-liked, and he's adjusted to it. He's been in custody, in prison, in jail or prison for 5 years now.
So where do you go from here? Because the Attorney General, Alan Wilson, says this is going to be retried. We're going to do it as quickly as possible, possibly this year. That seems nearly impossible.
Well, it is impossible. The Attorney General's running for governor. The election's in 3 weeks. And that was a political statement. That wasn't a legal statement. He knows as well as we. And by the way, Creighton Waters was interviewed. He wasn't saying they could try it this year. I mean, he understands the realities are. The Chief Justice has to appoint a judge. We have all kinds of venue issues to deal with. We have to serve discovery again. They have to respond to it. Any additional information. And we're going to be very careful to make sure that they have complied previously. We're not so sure we got everything the first time around. So and that's millions of pages of documents. Now, the great news is, with the development of AI, since the first trial, reviewing documents has become so much easier because you can use AI to analyze what we had before was, what is it? Control F to search for a word. Mm-hmm. Now, you can search for phrases, ideas, whatever. And it's just that we're doing it in other cases. It's amazing. And it's going to make it a lot easier for us to do that. Now, we got to get all the documents loaded. We got the old ones loaded in a database, but anything new we get, And there's some things we learned after the trial we want to examine that may lead in a different direction. So, no. And again, just the mechanics of getting a judge appointed, having a pretrial hearing or a status conference to talk about how we're going to go about this. And you couldn't get that done by the fall.
Let's drill down on that a little bit. What are some of the new things that you've learned since the trial that need to be explored?
You will find that out at the trial.
Come on now, give us a little bit. I mean, are we talking about third-party culprit evidence? Because I've heard some things about potential third-party suspects since the trial. Is that what you're talking about?
Some of it. Some of it. I mean, yes, we've gotten information since the trial of possible third party, but we're not an investigative agency. We don't have the ability to go serve a search warrant. But as of now, as soon as this judge gets appointed, and we ask him for what's called a forthwith order, which allows us to apply to him for subpoenas, we'll have subpoena power. So we can get records to try to validate what we've heard. And those won't be public, by the way.
Right. How many third-party culprit, how many potential suspects, potential people have you heard about?
Nice try. But we're not going to talk about specifics.
I mean, anything tied to the boat case with Paul?
I'm not going to go into, again, part of what we have that may prove very helpful in a retrial is we knowing and they don't. And no offense, I'm sure you're not going to call them, but they might actually watch this and learn what we're up to. Mm-hmm. That's one of the advantages we have is we don't have to disclose that and won't. They'll learn about it and that person takes a stand.
So when do you see this trial happening?
Sometime next year, mid-year, maybe fall.
2027.
Yeah, there's no way in hell it's going to happen before the end of the year.
Are you going to move for a change of venue?
Yes. But, I mean, there's several different, if they're in a hurry to try it, what they ought to do is agree with us, the venue ought to be changed, and try to work with us to find a venue that works for both of us, that we think would be where you might find jurors. I know it's, one of the problems is we're not going to find jurors who've never heard of the case. We're not going to find jurors who haven't read about it. But what you're looking for are jurors that can put aside what they've read, what they've heard, opinions they may have had, and base their verdict on what they hear in that courtroom.
Mm-hmm. Last time Alex Murdaugh took the stand, and that was his decision. I remember looking at your face as he was testifying. You didn't look really happy about it. That was my read on it. How did you feel about him testifying?
Hard guy to read.
Are you?
But I think if the question is, will he testify? That decision is always made game day. I mean, it's we get through the trial, we get to the point where that decision has to be made, that's when it'll be made. There's no preconception about whether he should testify or not testify.
Did you want him to testify the last time?
That would be attorney-client.
Even just your opinion on that?
What my opinion would be based on our discussions. Our discussions are protected. And I'm certainly not going to say what he said to me or what I said to him.
Sure. What about the kennel video? I know I've asked you about this in the past. I mean, he said he had not been at the kennels. Well, and you've got that Snapchat video of him, talking to Bubba, the chicken.
What he tried to explain, which he didn't explain very well, is this. Two things. One, there's no question if you look at the investigation that when the cop showed up, he's standing there with a shotgun, which the 911 person recorded him saying, hey, somebody's killed my wife and child, and I'm unarmed. I'm going to go up to the house and get a weapon and come back. They pull up, the husband standing there with the shotgun, and 100 yards away is, less than 100 yards away is his dead wife and son. Mm-hmm. I mean, husband, dead wife, 99 times out of 100, it's going to be the husband. And especially he's holding a shotgun, okay? I mean, they didn't know at that point whether that was the murder weapon or not. So they decided it was him that night. And how do we know that? Did they examine the feed room where Paul's body was for DNA or fingerprints? Did they try to get DNA or fingerprints? Did they look for fibers or hairs? No. There's a bloody footprint next to Paul's head. Turned out to be a Colleton County Sheriff's deputy's foot. They trounced the crime scene. They did no forensics whatsoever. There were vehicle tracks coming away from the bodies through the grass and actually going out the back way. Okay, not going up to the house. Those were pointed. Well, first of all, you can sort of see them a little bit in photos, but witnesses testified those vehicle tracks were there, and the fire chief who came testified. He told the chief investigating officer, "You better preserve those tracks. That may be the murderer's vehicle." They drove all over him, destroyed it. They destroyed evidence. So they have no forensic evidence because that night they decided they didn't need to do it. He was the murderer. What other explanation could there be? It's not just what we see on TV. We had a guy testify. Crime scene 101. You don't let anybody come in. You don't let them walk through the blood in the feed room where he was executed, where Paul was executed. So they clearly decided it was him that night. He testified that when they asked him had he been down there, he thought, and he had some pills in his pocket too, that he didn't need to admit that would put him, that would lock up their case. Yeah, I was down there. And here's the other point. The state says that he was down there moments or minutes before they were killed. Now, how does the state establish the time of death? Certainly not by the coroner who testified he felt their heads. Remember that?
Right.
Okay. No scientific, no
thermometer in the liver. Yeah.
No, again, a lack of scientific approach to the case. No forensic determination of time of death at all. They say when Paul and Maggie's phones went dead. Right. Okay, now, how do they know they went dead?
Well, they said that there were no more texts.
Correct. Well, and clearly several witnesses testified that down by the kennels, cell service went in and out. So the fact that they didn't text anybody doesn't mean that it didn't try to text anybody. They stopped using their phones. Now, on Maggie's phone, there is she tried to take a video of something, and that's the last thing on there. Now, it could be she heard the shots, came around the corner, saw Paul dead or after he'd been shot, and was trying to take a video of who was there. Would she have done that if it was Alec? I don't think so. And then she shot. We all believe that Paul was shot first. Even the state believes that. So again, their case has more holes in it than a piece of Swiss cheese. And if the financial crimes hadn't led the jury to believe he was just a horrible monster, before they heard any of the real evidence, they would have viewed it very differently, we believe, and they will, in a retrial, have that opportunity.
Is Cousin Eddie going to, in your view, make an appearance in this case? Because you could have called him the last time. The state could have called him. Nobody called him. Everybody was waiting for him to be called.
Well, here's the thing. He's a trained barking seal. He's been out for 5 years with an ankle monitor. He has confessed to trafficking in more oxy than anybody in the history of the state. He's looking at mandatory minimum 25-year sentences, cashed millions of dollars of checks from Alec, and conceived. Now, he said some of it was he just cashed him and gave him the cash, but clearly he had a relationship with some local drug gang. And in one of our motions, we noted that he took a polygraph about killing Maggie and Paul and failed it. There's a relationship there, and some of the things we're going to try to develop is that about the relationship with him and these drug gangs.
Why would Cousin Eddie kill Maggie and Paul?
You know, nah, I can't say. I can't say. I mean, I really...
You can't say or you don't want to say?
Well, I would be hampering and hamstringing our case to say right now. Creighton Waters needs to learn it at the same time as everybody else. And I'm hoping they put Cousin Eddie on the stand, because the cross-examination of him may very well prove Alex's innocence.
Well, you put him on the stand.
Well, the problem is, if you put him on the stand, I mean, and right now, we've never been given any sort of plea deal. I mean, I can't say he's a hostile witness and cross-examine him. He's my witness, and allows them to cross-examine him and lead him. I mean, there are rules here, and
Sure.
there are tactical reasons you do or don't do things. We'll see. But why is he still out of jail 5 years after the other case is over?
Yeah, and his cases are still pending. They've not been resolved.
Absolutely.
I also asked Dick Harpootlian about the lead investigator on Paul and Maggie's murders. SLED agent David Owen retired after Alec was convicted, but in the summer of 2025, a judge dismissed a murder case Owen was a part of investigating. Michael Colucci had been charged with murdering his wife Sarah Lynn Moore Colucci in 2015. The State.com reported that a judge found Owen didn't turn over information that suggested Sarah may have harmed herself.
David Owen was the lead investigator, the lead SLED agent on this case. There have been some issues with him since the trial. There was another case in which he was accused of hiding some evidence. Do you see that now becoming an issue? Will you seek to introduce that?
Absolutely. Remember now, when he testified before, he admitted he lied to the grand jury to get the indictment in this case. Mm-hmm. That he lied under oath to the grand jury. So he's willing to lie. The question is, and now this newest development, hiding evidence. Again, the forensics in this case were non-existent. They don't have any forensic evidence. Or at least, look, with all the tools that they just built a $60 million lab for SLED. Why didn't they look for hair, look for fiber, look for any? I mean, nobody went around and examined. There's the hair there. Let's take it, check it. Maybe Paul's, maybe somebody else. If it's unknown, let's run it against the DNA database. I mean, it's just unimaginable, a case of this scale, that they did not do just the basic forensic detective work that would be done in any whodunit. They didn't do it because he did it, and they decided it that night.
How is Alex Murdaugh paying for this? I mean, I know you've been asked this before, but he's supposed to not have any money.
Well, when he hired us, he had money, and we got paid a significant fee. Jim and I did. We take the position, I know this sounds, people just don't believe a lawyer would do this. Maybe that's a reflection on my profession, but we get hired on a criminal case, we get paid a flat fee. And that case ain't over till it's over.
So you're not getting any more money? You just took the handsome fee up front in the beginning, and now that's...
I have been blessed to make a lot of money practicing law. Nice house, huh?
Right. It's beautiful.
So is Jim. And I've had it happen before where a case has been sent back for retrial. You don't charge them more money. You just go do it. It's not done. They hired you to do the case. You're going to finish it. And again, based on the evidence, based on being around Alec, Paul, and Maggie for a year before the murders, every other week they were in my office working on Paul's boat case. Mm-hmm. Is that what I saw between the three of them, especially between Paul and Alec, convinces me that Alec could never, remember, whoever killed Paul pressed a shotgun to his head and blew his brains out. That was an execution. Maggie, on the ground, shot several times. Somebody put a bullet in the back of her head. 2 executions. Now, if they got angry or, then kill the wives and the kids, not all the time, but if there was some blow up or whatever. But, their theory is gathering storm that asked about $750,000, a fee that apparently wasn't deposited to the firm account. He'd been caught doing that twice before, paid the money back. Oh, clerical error. There was nothing to indicate this would be any different. None. So there was no gathering storm. There was no immediacy to any threat to him, and certainly not 2 o'clock on that afternoon.
If Alec was down at the kennels shortly before Paul and Maggie were murdered, do you think he has knowledge of who did this?
Well, first of all, there's no, other than this, they stopped using their cell phones. There's no evidence he was down there shortly before they were killed. He could have been on his way to his mama's house, which after he was down there, he went up and got in his, he drove the golf cart up there, got in his car. He went inside for a few minutes and then got in his car and drove over to his mom's house. When he gets to his mom's house, no blood, no brains, nothing on his shoes, no blood in the golf cart, no blood in the car. And they said they checked, SWAT agents checked every shower, every drain, every piece of clothes they could find, found not one speck of blood or human remains anywhere in that house that night. No guns. I mean, if this was a spontaneous, the storm is coming, it was a really well-planned, spontaneous, to get rid of any evidence whatsoever. There's no evidence pointing to him.
So this is 100% going to trial.
Absolutely.
No resolution other than a verdict.
They could dismiss it.
That's the only other way, verdict or a dismissal on your part.
Look at this evidence again, they'll go, especially after this decision, we can't convict him. Maybe they'll have the good sense to say we can in good conscience put a case before a jury that would prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed this crime. I don't see it. I was a prosecutor for 12 years. I mean, I've written a book about one of my high-profile cases, tough to get a jury on, everybody. And he was convicted, but a bunch of stuff didn't come in, and he got a fair trial, according to the U.S. Supreme Court. So I've done this before. Mm-hmm. I've been in their shoes. And there are many, many cases. You read about the cases where I got convictions. You don't read about the cases where I didn't go forward or I dismissed the case because I didn't think that it'd be that justice, and that's your job, is to do justice as a prosecutor.
Should Becky Hill be prosecuted?
Yes.
Okay. For jury tampering.
Well, look, clearly from the record the Supreme Court published yesterday, she attempted, I think they're saying for what Toll ruled in, all the facts she found, former Chief Justice Jean Toll, she made great factual findings about what she did, which was, she said, this is what she did. If she said those things, or since she said those things, the burden shifts to us to prove it affected the verdict, that a juror was affected by it. That's not what the U.S. Supreme Court has said in Remmer and all the cases after that. It says once we prove that, the burden shifts to the prosecution to show beyond a reasonable doubt it didn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, these facts now are undisputed. At the minimum, it's an attempt to tamper with the jury, which is a crime.
Can the Supreme Court make a referral for criminal charges? So do you think there is room for, because of the opinion that they issued or they released, should she be prosecuted? I mean, we had a prosecutor go into court and say there was no evidence of jury tampering.
No, what he said was, I don't believe I have I have enough evidence that would convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that she committed jury tampering. And I think at that point, he was under the misapprehension of the Toll opinion, which was, you got to show it influenced somebody. Well, If you walked into a store, or Becky Hill walked into a store with a pistol and walked up to the counter, said, "Give me your money," and the clerk said, "No," and she walks out, has she committed an armed robbery? No. Has she committed an attempted armed robbery? Yes. I mean, it's just, this is criminal law 101. So, and Rick Hubbard, the guy that took care of the prosecution of Becky on the writing the checks to herself and perjuring herself in front of Toll, he knows that. And by the way, it ain't really his responsibility. The guy that hugged on her and called her Becky Boo, Becky Boo, he's the guy.
Alan Wilson,
our attorney general, who's running for governor and really doesn't want to get anywhere near this thing now. He needs to make some hard calls here. There needs to be a message sent. She's the second highest court official in the courthouse during this trial. The jury's looking to her for direction. She is, as one of the justices said during their argument, she's their Sherpa. And so she has an unfair, it's not like somebody sees you in the grocery store and says, well, to a juror, hey, that guy's guilty. This is their person they look to for their welfare while they're on the jury. It's incredible.
Have you heard from Buster at all? Do you keep in contact with him?
We do. Jim Griffin talks to him more than I do. And of course, he and Alec talk and they visit. I mean, there's visits.
Alec and Buster talk and visit?
Yeah.
Really? I only ask because it sounds like there's been some reporting out there that hasn't been going on. So tell me about this.
I don't think so. I think I can just report that they're very affable. They have a great relationship. Buster had a baby, right? Did you know that?
I don't think I knew that.
Got married.
I knew he was married.
Married, had a baby. Who'd he name the baby after?
Alec.
I'd say they got a pretty good relationship.
Yeah, I would say. So he's supporting his father.
Absolutely.
And believes in his father's innocence.
Absolutely. Anybody, and this is, I heard Creighton Waters this morning say, well, the victims deserve justice. Well, Maggie's parents don't believe he killed Maggie. Oh, yeah.
Maggie's parents do not believe that Alec killed.
That's my understanding. I haven't spoken to him.
Has Alec met his grandson?
No.
I didn't know if he could take him to the prison.
I don't think so.
Any final thoughts?
I just think that, look, I've been doing this a long time. There are moments in which you say to yourself, this is why I do it. And this is one of those moments. And again, all around us, everywhere in the country, we see the rule of law ignored by judges, by members of the executive branch, like prosecutors. Mm-hmm. This is a reaffirmation in what I've believed in for 50 years. And I mean, I'm ecstatic about it. Even though it's going to require a lot of time and money of mine and Jim's and our team, this is a great thing.
So you're doing it essentially pro bono from the fee you were paid up front?
At this point, yes. Now maybe some rich benefactor wants to contribute to
and make you more rich. That's a joke.
The costs alone were $600,000 the first time around.
On the defense side?
Yeah.
Just to stay where you were staying and experts?
Experts primarily. Where we stayed wasn't that expensive, but it was less expensive than if we'd rented hotel rooms. Mm-hmm. Of course, there were no hotel rooms. You guys took them all. And what were there, 4 hotels and motels? And there were no hotels, 4 motels and 3 restaurants. Mm. You did you eat at the Cracker Barrel a lot?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you put it out of your mind. That was traumatic. I know.
I tried to patronize the local. Anyway, press conference coming up
Monday, 1:00.
What are we going to learn?
You'll learn it when you get there.
Okay.
We're going to answer any questions anybody else has about the trial. We've got a couple of announcements I think you'll find fascinating.
Same defense team?
Yeah.
Everybody,
Same to putting the band back
the band's back together. All right, Dick Harpootlian, I so appreciate you making time after such a long day. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I just want to say that one of the things we've seen since the Supreme Court argument is a different attitude about this case by a number of people, whether they're podcasts or reporters for newspapers or TV stations or whatever. They're beginning to get it. I think you get it. It's not open and shut. And that's the point that, and again, when you fix the jury, you can't take that verdict and say it stands for anything other than you can fix a jury. So, and I enjoy doing this. Can you tell that?
I can tell. I can tell. Thank you, Dick. I really appreciate it. Dick Harpootlian.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
And for the record, cousin Eddie Smith has always maintained he had absolutely nothing to do with the murders of Maggie and Paul. And remember, you can read more and watch more about the Murdaugh case on Law&Crime Plus. That's our new app. And that's it for this episode of Crime Fix, coming to you from Columbia, South Carolina. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.